Hey guys, it took me a little bit longer to make the video than what I was expecting. I can't keep anything charged here lately. I don't know if it's my personality just burning things up or I don't know what's going on. So anyway, I had to wait till I got home from work to make a video. So let's get started on some awesome news. All right, I'm going to jump around a little bit. These are things that I've gotten from several different channels. These are things that when I hear it, I know it's right. There may be some things that I'm not quite sure of, but I'll just let you know about it, and I'll tell you those things that I'm not quite sure about, but I'm letting you know so you can make your own decision, because that's what we do. We make our own decisions. And then I'm going to give you what I feel like is going to happen. Okay. So let me get started with Arizona. All right, this is awesome. All right, do you remember when I talked about watermarks? And I told you that it would most probably be the military going in with the lights and scanning over all the paper to look for watermarks, that there'd be some kind of mark on there. Well, I was right, but not 100%. And I always tell you, I'm never 100% right, but I'm never, ever 100% wrong. So, there was a team of people who call themselves the something ninjas, and they've gone in there and they knew exactly what they were looking for. So they did do the lights, and you can hear people talk about, why are they using those lights on the paper? They were looking for watermarks, but they were also checking the paper to see if it was bamboo paper. Now, I'll let you figure out where bamboo paper would come from. We, as Americans, do not use bamboo to print our paper. Back forever ago, when our nation first started, we used to use the marijuana plants for our paper. So a lot of paper back then was on those leaves. The clothes, ropes, a lot of things was made out of marijuana. But then they switched it and they use trees now. So if they would go back to using marijuana, because my understanding is the plant grows very fast, they could go back to that. So there's a lot of different things, people, that we could go back to doing that we quit doing for whatever reason. We'll go into that history another day. And I've got to keep the cats away because I have this sitting on a box. And you know how the cats like to get up here and get in my face. Here's Libby. And it looks like I have like a, what does that look like? I don't know what that looks like. It looks funny. So they were looking and they found a lot of the bamboo paper. So they were looking for watermarks. They found the bamboo paper. So when they had ones that had bamboo paper, they were checking to see if the person, one, was alive, lived where they said that they lived, made sure they didn't vote more than once, checked to make sure they were a United States citizen. And all those that were not legal, they were put aside. That changed the number of the votes in one county in one state. Okay? Now, other states that have been questioning, like where they knew there should have been a larger number of one party than the other, that's been scratching their heads, are like, hey, we want ours checked too. So my understanding is they're supposed to be looking at 2 more states, possibly 3, but I know for sure 2 more states. Now, if this does show, which it's going to show, regardless of what you want to believe, and some people cannot get past the fact that, yeah, maybe there was a little bit of cheating, but there's no way that was that many, when I've already showed you documentation of other people that have done the numbers. They've taken how many registered voters there are in one county, showed you the turnout of how many people voted, and when you have a larger turnout than you have registered voters, that should set off a red flag in anybody's head. That should be like, wait a second, if there's only 500,000 people registered to vote, how come there was 10 million? You should be going, wait, where did they come from? Okay? Being dead does not mean you get to vote again. Okay? Once you die, Your soul is not in this shell. So there's nothing there. So there's no reason why a corpse would come out of the ground to go vote, because there's nothing there. So get over that one. Dead people don't vote. Dead people, they're dead, okay? They don't have the right to vote. They had the right to vote when they were alive, but they gave that up when they passed on to the next dimension. So let's quit being silly, all right? Let's quit being silly. Now, people that are not legal are not supposed to vote. That is part of being a citizen, because if that was the case, then people in Timbuktu could get a absentee ballot and vote in our elections. Do you understand that? And vice versa, where we could get voters for China or whatever and vote in those countries. But do you see what I'm saying? They don't know anything that's going on over here. They don't live here. It doesn't affect them. Voting is supposed to be your words, what you feel, what you want, okay? Not what somebody in another state wants, not what somebody in another country wants. It's what the people in that state, in that county, or in that city want as a large group of people, okay? Now, this may make the little guy mad who is outnumbered. And I'm sorry, you can't win all the time. You don't get a prize for just participating, all right? You don't get to cheat when things don't go your way. So get over that one too. Grow up, all right? A lot of people need to grow up and get over it. Now, this has nothing to do with people that support the T being sore losers. I gotta get that off me because she's in my hair. Yikes! Oh my God. Sore losers or whiny babies or won't let anything go. How many times did they recount votes for Clinton? Not one, not two, and I believe not just 3 times, okay? So, get over it. If you're watching this video and you do not support the T, you're going to be upset because I have no good news for your candidate in any aspect. I have good news for people that are ascending, that are looking for a better life, for things to get to the new normal, which will not be what the D side of the table wants. It's what God wants, what God has always intended for us. So if you're not on page with that, you can just go ahead and turn me off. Okay? So, now, when they count all these other votes in these other places that want them, and they all shows the same thing, everybody in the world is going to see the truth, whether you like it or not. If you say, this doesn't bother me, I don't care, the truth is coming. You need to understand it. We need to quit being lied to. It needs to stop. It's not right. It's not fair. And you're going to find out for years and decades that this stuff has been going on. This is why people walk around, how is this person still in Congress? I mean, didn't she die 10 years ago? You're going to understand why these people have never been voted out. It's because they didn't want to give up their seat. It was not meant to be a career. It was meant to serve your people, of your community, of your state, of your country, for however long, to step down, go back to your life, and let the next one pick up. That's the way it was set up. Not to be a career. Not to get rich. All right? And somewhere down the line, it changed. Now, I can talk about Truman just a second. And the reason I'm talking about Truman is because I did a little research on him and watched couple of movies and read about him. Now, I'm not saying he's a perfect president. This is not what I'm saying. So please do not take it that this is what I am trying to say. I am trying to say that he had made a comment that said that if you're a politician, you're not, your only way you're going to be rich being a politician is if you're crooked. And that's the truth. He also, when he was done with the president and he was leaving the office, he did not have a parade of cars driving him to the airport. He drove himself. He had to stop for red lights as a regular citizen of the United States. Okay? He drove himself to the train station. There were no people standing on the streets. There was no police escort. There were no Secret Service. All right? He drove himself to the train station. Him and his wife were about to board a train, and that is where a group of people had got together and clapped and applauded and wished our president farewell and have a good life. Do you know that the only money he got after he ran for president is what he had earned? So he lived off of what little pension he had, and I believe whatever he was making on the farm. He was not rich. He did not die a rich man. He was not rich while he was in office. So this kind of tells you the difference. If you ever get a chance to look at the movie, which we know the movie is not 100% correct, so don't get that. That's what I'm saying. It gives you an idea of the times, of how things were done back then. And how, if you look now, you have to have this big parade and all these people and planes flying over, and you got Secret Service and snipers everywhere, where you didn't have that back then. Okay? So I just want you to kind of understand the difference there. Nowadays, when presidents leave the office, they leave with more money than what they came in with. And you have to ask yourself, how did that happen? How did they have more money, their net worth, than what they had when they started being the president, or Congress, or a senator, or a mayor, or a sheriff, or something? You see where I'm going with this. This is what you got to pay attention to. It was not meant for people to get rich. They keep voting to get raises, but that's not what they're supposed to do. Do you know that people that were in offices back then, your Congress and your senators, if they could not afford a house or an apartment, they lived in their offices. They slept on their couches, or they rented like a boarding house and they lived with other people. This is a good movie to look at to kind of wake you up. So when you hear people saying, I don't make enough to buy a house in Washington, either did the people 40 years before you. All right? You're not supposed to be there forever. And there's no guarantee that you win a second term. So, I just wanted to point that out. Look it up, read it, study it, listen to it, whatever. You'll be shocked to know how people lived when they ran for politics and were in politics in Washington versus what they're doing today. And you're going to cry. This is ridiculous. All right? And it is. So, will this change the outcome? Possibility. Possibility. Now, do know we have two presidents right now. You have the one that won legally and is working behind the scenes, getting things done, cleaning out the tunnels, all right? Then you have the one that has a mask on, that has a paid actor acting as him, all right? So those are your two presidents. Now, the president who's actually the president is working out of a different state. And this is why every now and then you'll hear them slip up and say, I was at the White House. That home used to be a president's vacation home. So everything that the White House in Washington has, that house has. All right? Everything that they need to run this country is in that home. All right? So get that out of your mind. Another thing that I heard is that when Mr. B went to the Pentagon and went in to have a meeting or talk to somebody, he was escorted out and told to leave. And we already know that when he tried to get in that White House after inauguration, he couldn't get in. The doors were locked. We know if you call the White House right now, it's closed. We do know if you turn on the camera that films the White House 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, at a certain time, all the lights go out. That's not how it's supposed to be. So there is nobody in the White House. But what we do know is it's roped off, it's chained out, nobody's going in. that doesn't need to be there because they're going underneath the tunnels. Now, we do know from stories about tunnel system with JFK and other people, how they had to use the tunnels. You've seen it in many movies. You go in the drain hole in the street, and you go so many this way, so many that way, and you go through a vent, and then you end up in the bathroom or somewhere like that. I don't know, okay? I'm just telling you. There's always some truth to these fictional movies. Well, all of these tunnel systems that were there from the Civil War or the World War I or World War II, or however they got there, they used that to move people around, okay? Those are getting destroyed. Now, will that White House be the White House again? I don't know. Washington has so much evil that had been done there. I don't know if any president would want to sit there again unless it was just completely smudged and saged and holy watered, and I don't know. I don't know. So this one, I do not know. I'm not picking up anything. It's a blank to me. So I don't know if everything will continue to run out of Florida or if it will go back to DC. But I do know that there was a lot of evil that was going on. The story about the guy from NXIVM flying the plane that brought over all the hot dogs for that president, that's true, okay? If you start putting all of these stories together that you don't want to believe, you're going to find out they're true. Now, when we talk about Mr. B here, going back in his history, he's got the Bow Foundation, which the address is a P.O. Box office. And he is still part of that foundation. But that foundation is only a front for child trafficking, pedophilia, pornography, and other things. Okay? Is that not disgusting? All right? Now, you're saying, Jackie, where do you get all these things? Well, that's because I listen to different people. I listen to different stuff. I do my research. I go by what I've heard in my head from God, what I see in visions, and what I feel. And there's just too many things from different people that all overlap and connect. So, we do know, because I've seen the videos where Mr. Brock was with a group of people. It looked like they were kind of underground. It was kind of dark video, and it had like the little columns around, and they looked like they were sitting in a circle, and he's talking with a microphone, and he's saying, you know that I was born in Kenya, and everybody starts clapping and laughing, and it's completely him. Now, you're not going to find that video, and I don't have it saved on my my thing here. Now, I did post it. I probably posted it twice. So if you didn't get to see it, you should be watching some of this stuff I post. That's all I can say. I'm like, oh my God, I had to play it 3 times. It was him. It was clearly him. That wasn't an actor. And he was in with all white people while he was talking about this. So if he can lie about one thing, he can lie about other things. All right? Now, we also know that Mrs. M, who's actually Mike, is lying. And I've gotten to so many arguments with people, and I'm just not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to argue with you, okay? I've told you, I've showed you, I've dug the science on women's shoulders, the forehead, the bone structures, and people just don't want to listen. You've got to realize that some of these families are part of families that have a long history of being in the cabal. So when they bring their children up, they bring their children up a certain way. They may have a son, they make their son become their daughter. All right? Look at actors. They're doing it all the time, forcing their children to wear dresses and to pick their sex. They put all this pressure on a child. Shouldn't have to worry about that kind of stuff as a child. parents forcing you to make up your mind what kind of sex you are. Well, you know what kind of sex you are. God doesn't make those mistakes, people. God does not make those mistakes, okay? Now, who you choose to love, that's between you, the person you love, and God, all right? But for people to force other people to change their sexual gender so they can be in the in crowd is not God's way, all right? So you can show me all the pictures you want of Mrs. M in a dress at a young age, and I don't care. I'm telling you, that is a man. All right, so now that we've got that out the way. Oh, my goodness gracious. This is a lot of information, isn't it? Okay, so you always hear that thing, birds of a feather flock together. Well, we know all these people that are connected. We know the Clintons are connected with the Bushes, and the Bushes are connected to the Obamas. And I didn't realize that Miss Harris is connected to Obama in another way. So this one's going to blow your mind. And I got this one from the bishop. Now, you want to hear the whole thing, you need to listen to the bishop. All right? I post things about him on here. You can go on my Facebook page. You can go through and find where I've been posting stuff about the bishop. Listen to this man. He will blow your mind. Seriously. So, he was saying that when Gandhi was killed, and I want to say, I may be wrong, you have to listen to the bishop, that there was a family, and the child that saw the execution moved over to the United States and changed her name, and I forgot what the name was. She ended up marrying a man whose last name was Harris. Harris actually was the one who founded the Black Panthers, not the person that they tell you who did. So, if you go back and you look at the side of Harris's mother, and you understand what her family did, that they were the ones who assassinated Gandhi. Then you look at what her father was doing, knowing that both these people were communists, okay? That her father started the Black Panthers, what was it, mind controlling something, okay? Their daughter grew up in that type of atmosphere. All right. So now when you see her take the side of some of these people, you're like, why is she taking the side of this? It makes sense to you, doesn't it? Now we know she did go to school. Whether or not she did well, I don't know. I don't care. We know how she got her job and how she moved up in politics. And she's done something that a lot of women do. And it's shame on you. You should move up because, one, you deserve it. Two, you're damn good at your job. And if you have to take to your knees and open your mouth to get a position, shame on you. All right? Shame on you. I never did that. If I got moved up in my job, it was because I deserved it. It wasn't because I got on my knees. All right? And there are plenty of women that I know that have busted their ass to get a position, and they worked hard for it. And they would never, ever have considered ever doing something that low. All right? But if you're just one of these people and this is the only way you think you're going to move up, do know you're never going to get anywhere in life. You're never going to get there. No one's ever going to respect you. All right? So I have no respect for her. She's not the VP. She'll never be the president. She is not the type of person that you would want to represent this country. All right? So all these people that are celebrating her being the first VP, it's a not real. It's a not happening. It's a no. It's a no. Okay? No. She's not. So let's just get that out the way. Also, you ever notice that there's like 3 dots around her neck? Look at pictures of her now and then look at pictures of her years ago. There's no 3 dots there. It's because it's a mask, okay? They're doing this because they want you to see the mask. Look at the teeth. Look at the earlobes. You see how my earlobes are? Some people don't have that little flap. Some people just have like a thin thing like that. You look at people's earlobes. These don't change, people. All right, when you came out your mama's womb, your earlobes, that's how they stay your whole life, unless you go get plastic surgery or something, or you have something seriously happen to you, like maybe your earring ripped out and I don't know what happens, or someone bites your ear off, like Mike Tyson. God forbid if Mike Tyson came over and bit my ear off. That'd just be horrible. That'd be right up there with everything else that's going on. But what I'm getting at is this don't change, okay? Your teeth can change. You can take all your teeth out and get fake teeth in or whatever. You can change your nose structure. You can change your jaw. But you're not going to change these. People don't go really too much and have their earlobes done. So these are certain things that you want to look at. So when you're looking at her, look at different things. Don't say, well, that's just her. Or, that didn't look like her. You're looking at the smile and stuff, and you're like, that doesn't look right. Because it's not. All right. So we know what kind of family she was. Now, she also, because of her backing, she had a lot of Saudi Arabia, which we've already heard many, many times that Saudi Arabia is the country that was doing a lot of funding for things to get done, bad things to get done. So this is where some people got their money so they could run for president. And this means like people that we never really heard of before, that never did anything while they were in Congress and got to be president. But we do know that he was raised with the Bush family because his stepfather worked with Daddy Bush in the CIA and was one of the ones who did a lot of the explicit work. That kind of stuff. So they were very close. So you get to looking at all this stuff and you're like, wow, all these people know each other. Their families know each other. They know of each other. They know who they are. They set each other up. They get ready for the next one. Okay, well, you can be president next. Let me get everything running for you. Let me get everything there for you. It's crazy. I mean, when I was watching the videos about the guy who would drop drugs out of the airplane, and I learned how the Clintons got involved with the Bushes, I thought, wow, that's insane. Who would have ever thought that? But they were always, the Bushes and the Clintons were always buddies. I mean, always. Yeah. Well, the Biden family, if you go back in history, they're pretty crooked too. They've been pretty crooked for a long time. And stories go as far as Joe used to cheat on his first wife with Miss Jill. And when his wife died, 10 days later, they applied for a marriage license. Even though they didn't get married that fast, they applied for the marriage license. Nobody's implying that Jill had anything to do with the death of his first wife. But what we're saying is, isn't that kind of weird? Do you grieve in 10 days and able to start a new life with a new person in 10 days? I don't know. I know it took me a long time to get over my dad's death. Took me a long time to get over my son's father's death. I don't think normal people can actually get all the grieving out and get everything taken care of that they need to do in 10 days. Honestly, it was months before I was able to take care of everything for my father. Long story about the family, but my dad had a lot of medicine, so I had to make sure that all of his medicines from the pharmacies were canceled. I tried to cancel all the credit cards. I went round and around with MCI about getting the phone turned off, which they would not turn off. And that, I can make a whole video on that story. It's comical, but it's really not. And for anybody who ever is having trouble when either your spouse or your parents or a child dies and you cannot get someone to stop the account, even though you've sent them like over 10 death certificates, call me, because I figured out how to get it to stop. Yeah, that was a nightmare. I'd say, please turn off the phone, and then next month the bill would go higher. It was only like $20-something, and by the time I finally got to turn it was almost like at $500. They refused to turn my dad's phone off. I wasn't using it. It was unplugged. I was using a phone that I had set up in another room. I was using my line, my phone. And I had sent them, and I'm not lying, 10 death certificates. And every time I talked to somebody, I talked to different people. Because I'd call one person, they say I'd have to call these people. So I would call those people. So I was talking to probably every month, 2 people a month. And it took at least 6 months for me to get that taken care of. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. But if you ever need help, get with me and I will tell you exactly what I did to nip that in the butt. And shame on companies for doing that shit. Let me tell you what, shame on them. And no, I didn't have to pay a dime. So, I'm good at this stuff. But, so there was a lot of things after my dad's death that I still had to deal with. So I can't imagine in 10 days having all of Jill's things packed up, put away, given away. I can't imagine all of, not Jill's, but you know I'm saying Jill, that's his wife now, but his first wife, having all her stuff packed up, contacted everybody, gave them things that maybe they wanted, took care of all her affairs, made sure all her accounts were closed, everything like that, made sure her names were off different things. That takes longer than 10 days, people. And if you're already going to get a marriage license, that takes some planning. You know, hey, let's go down and get the marriage license. You got to meet up with the person you're going to get married. You got to go down to the courthouse and fill out paperwork. How can you be doing that when you're still dealing with a death? So that's just the point I'm making. All right. Even though he did not marry her in 10 days, they got a marriage license within 10 days of that death. So let that sink in. Okay, for all you B supporters. What else? Okay, something else the bishop said, and this one, he's so knowledgeable. Oh my God, he's an awesome person to listen to. I'm just going to throw this one out there who does not have anything to do with voting or anything like that. But you know how they call you when you have your pants below your butt cheeks and your underwear showing and you call it sagging? He says, spell it backwards. And when you spell it backwards, you're going to go, yeah. What they're doing is they're purposely doing this to these kids. And they think it's cool and they don't even see what they're doing. They don't understand it. There was 2 men who were gay in a prison, and I forgot the date that he said that they started this, and they wanted to know who would be good for them. So if you put your pants down, then they knew that you would be the female in the relationship. So they get out of prison and they still carrying on their ways that they did in prison. These kids see it and think, wow, that's cool, I'm going to do that too. So these guys are walking around with their butt showing, with their underwear, thinking they're cool, when all they're telling people is that, hey, I'm gay. I like guys. I like guys behind me. Yeah. Okay, that's disgusting. But yeah, listen to the bishop, and you will be shocked what they've put into that community and how, boom, kids just take off with it and say, yeah, man, that's awesome. You will be so embarrassed. You will be grabbing your kids by their hair and saying, pull your pants up. Don't be calling yourself that. Don't say that word anymore. Don't do that anymore. Oh my gosh. Because when you figure out what all these little things that they do actually mean, you're gonna, my kid was saying what? Yeah. So definitely listen to the bishop. That will enlighten you in so many ways. And he is so knowledgeable about the Bible. He's going to open up your eyes about the Bible. I love listening to him. He's a hoot. So, now, this is what I feel is coming. There is something coming in June. Something's coming, and then August. Now, we could have a hurricane around the 4th of July. Now, do know that they control the weather. And you're thinking, Jackie, only God controls the weather. And I'm here to tell you that the city of Atlantis had the technology to control the weather. And a lot of this knowledge was not lost. It's just been hidden from us. And the people that are in the government that do not work for you or I and don't care about you or I control the weather. So it is not unheard of when they want to punish a state to give them the most awful hurricane, awful bad weather, or make sure that they don't get any rain. I don't know, but I do know that there is the technology there. And my understanding is somebody here is going to get a nice little storm, probably around 4th of July. So just mark that in the back of your mind. It doesn't happen, that's wonderful. If it's not a hurricane, it could be something else. Maybe tornadoes, or maybe blizzard, I don't know. Maybe a mountain melting or something, mudslides. I don't know. But just know that I feel like something will happen on the 4th. And that's not because I had a vision of it. I have a friend who did the numbers, and he showed me these numbers, and it came up to this week when we had all that bad weather. And the next set of numbers shows the 4th of July. So we're going to see if this is true. And I honestly believe it is, because one, they don't want us to celebrate the 4th of July. They don't want us to do that because they don't want us to be independent, think for ourselves. They want to control us. We are the slaves, okay? We're the slaves. And soon as you figure that out, the better off you are. Now, I'm not saying go to your job and yell at your boss, or go to the Coke manufacturer and yell at them for things that they do. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm telling you to be aware of how you're being treated, how you've been treated, how they treated your parents, and how they're going to treat your children. And the more knowledge that you have, the more power that you have, because now you're able to join with others. And you're able to push back by voting against things, by letting people know that you know what's going on and you're not going to stand for it anymore. This is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about taking to the streets with some trash can lids and a broom or something. I'm saying with knowledge. With knowledge. Because there are plenty of people out there who are fighting the battle for us, and that is our military. And you need to continue to pray for them, because they're seeing things that no one should ever see. So let me think if there was anything else. Do know that when Trump becomes a president, he will go back to, I believe, the 17th president. And the reason is because we are no longer a corporation. We are a republic. So when you get that through your head and you let this sink in, it will make more sense to you. Things are going to change. I told you when I first started doing my premonitions that Trump would change everything. Everything, and nothing would ever be the same. Do know it's happening. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in the next 4 years. It's probably going to take at least a good 10, 15 years. But the people that will follow Trump will be like Trump. They will think like him. They're going to stay on this onset. All right? So we're going to get where we're supposed to be. And that is with God Almighty. All right? No more worshiping the devil without even realizing you're worshiping the devil. No more eating of our children, killing our children, having sex with our children. Nothing more with the children. No. No. All that is going to end. Now, we have people who have been abused as children, and we need to reach out to these people and make sure that they're getting the help that they need. All right? And if it was you who was abused, that does not give you the right to abuse another child. What you need is therapy, and you need someone to help you work through the trauma. And I am sorry that happened to you. But please don't put another child through what you went through. All right? You can't continue this cycle. It has to stop. And the only way it stops if people seek help. There's nothing wrong. No one's going to laugh at you. No one is going to say, I won't want to be your friend anymore. It has to stop. And people have to step up and quit trying to hide that part of their lives and step up and go get the help. Your whole life will be much better when you start easing that trauma out and healing that part of your past. No, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that at all. But it will be better for you. Some people don't want people to know what happened to them. I've had terrible things happen to me as a child and as a teenager. And some things I have it almost completely blocked out. But everything that's happened to me has made me stronger, has made me strong-willed, and has made me smart. And you're thinking, whoa, why would something terrible happen to you make you smarter? It does. It really does. You're able to protect yourself differently than other people. Yes, I still get my feelings hurt. And yes, I do occasionally cry over people. But as I'm getting older, I'm like, whatever. I don't care. And I'm learning that being alone is not a bad thing. You get a lot done. I don't need anybody. I have God. Now, if someone wants to share time with me, then that's perfectly fine. But I don't need you. So when a man thinks that I need him, that's where everything goes kapuki. All right? We don't need each other. We want to support each other. We want to be there for each other. And we want to enjoy each other's company and enjoy life together. But I don't need you. I need God. You need God. And when we both come to that conclusion that we need God in our life, then we can enjoy each other better. And hopefully more people realize that. Women, you can get a job. You may not be rich. You may not drive the fanciest car, but you don't need a sugar daddy. You don't need 5 boyfriends to pay your bills. What you need to do is get yourself a respectable job and be a respectable person and do good in your life. Okay? Don't use people. Don't be hateful. And I've met many women over the years who do that stuff. I mean, I was working at the Grand in Biloxi, and I worked with somebody, and she said she had about 3 boyfriends, and she didn't have to pay any of her bills because they paid it for her. And I thought, gee whiz. Yeah, I was never, ever like that. I never let anybody pay my bills. Never. I've always busted my ass. Now, I've asked for help from time and time again, and I don't like it because sometimes I'm in a predicament where it takes me just a little bit longer to give the person back. And I am working on one of those right now. But I try to do everything myself because I believe in God, and I believe that God will give me everything I need, and He has. And when other people start to realize that everything else you don't need in your life, you don't need a 60-inch TV that wraps around your bedroom. You don't need a TV in every room in the house. You don't need the most expensive car. You don't need all those diamond rings. You don't need all those fake nails. These are things that you think that make you who you are. And you are already who you are. People can either like you for who you are or they're not. Getting fake nails, wearing lots of jewelry, getting eyelashes that stick out to here is not going to make people like you. You're trying to like yourself is what it is. And the first thing people have to do before they can get in any type of commitment is have a commitment with themselves too. All right? You have to like yourself. You have to say, well, this is what I have to work with. I have kinky, curly hair that's nappy sometimes. Okay? I've got to work with that. I'm very short. I've got to work with that. I have a big butt. I got to work with that. You know, I can't tell how many people say, oh my gosh, you know, you got such a big butt. Well, what do you want me to do about it? It's not like I can go do the big butt exercises and it be gone in a couple of days. I've always had a bubble butt. And as I've gotten older, it's gotten a little bit bigger. But that's who I am. You don't like my big butt, then that's fine. I don't care. But if you're judging me as a person because my butt's big, who's really the problem here? You or me? Because my butt does not define who I am. So I'll just put it out there for you people, telling you like it is. You don't like who I am. You don't like that I don't wear makeup half the time anymore. You don't like that my hair's all kinky. You don't like my big butt. You don't like my little bitty child feet where I can go buy children's shoes because that embarrasses you or whatever it is. Oh well, you don't need me and I don't need you because I'm comfortable with who I am. I'm dealing with it. I'm fine. I don't care. I work, pay, I try to pay my bills, and I'm eating. I'm healthy. I'm good. I got God in my life. So if more people do that, they'll be a lot happier. So going into this great awakening, like I've been trying to tell people, you're going to notice that you don't need a lot of things. You're going to downsize. You're going to get rid of a lot of stuff. You're going to be content with less clutter, and you're going to feel better for it. I mean, I've been decluttering myself. I went out there, did my garage. I'm doing in the house. I still got to pull up this carpet and put some flooring down. Ooh, the door. Hold on.